Credentials authenticated. Probing target.
Okay, I'm opening the gate.
Weiterhin Erklärung.
Initiate communication.
Therefore, we're not necessarily at the same risk, if you like, as a country of having.
Geschichte eines Gebildes.
Greetings, ancestral human. My name is Soraya. Soon I board the starship Boaz-3 for transport to the Pleiadian system, where I will be a delegate for the next 10 Earth years, as is protocol. I have spent the last 20 years at level 11 on a small team of historical anthropologists, 957 years in your future. During this tenure, I've successfully completed 1,000 aspect interviews. You see, it's been my responsibility to collect interactive data on influential figures from the past, individuals who made our society possible. We maintain an archive that's accessible to anyone in a historic location near here. The interviews represent the contextual, historical memory of my people. Historical anthropologists in this age are trained to specialize in periods of history, including language, customs, contemporary historical history, and cultural perspective, because we must pass seamlessly through the observed historical setting. Training involves an immersion experience. Once proficiency is reached, our delegates intentionally encounter the individual in a private setting and simply document the dialogue. Our intention is to characterize the elders with their own attributes rather than mythologize them. Learning and contribution occurs throughout life in our time, and these records are an educational archive where we discover what motivates, inspires, and animates figures of the past in the legacy they are known for. The archive contains over 1 million records captured from individuals throughout human history, most of whom were unknown to historians of the past. You see, in my time, there has been a myth of sorts about someone from the first third of the 21st century. We have not until recently been able to describe her in the contextual way we prefer, through documenting her persona, but her influence was so profound that the Lotus Center, where all the historical archive is maintained, was erected in her honor. Her identity was maintained in what became known as the Lotus myth. An artifact was carried through time, handed from one person to the next for nearly 300 years. It was a journal started by the Lotus myth. Only the first 100 pages of the book contained her writing. The journal was passed from hand to hand, with each person along the way contributing to the text, signing their name, and protecting the book in good faith. The book became the framework for a new society, and events began to advance on your timeline toward this future world in significant ways from the time the writing began. We reverse engineered the journal's path through time, based on the signatures in the book. Observers were sent to each and every one, and through that process, we came upon the stub of a train ticket that pointed the way to the Lotus myth. You will experience a portion of that mission now. Hey, you know something? Sometimes I think we women get things in our heads that aren't very useful.
Om ett par
You know, one time I thought I'd missed all the important chances in my life. I thought life had passed me by. And I was walking with this woman I met. Her name was Eleanor. And she told me something that really changed my life right away. She said women don't discover themselves until they're 40 years old. And that we don't discover our life's purpose until we're 50. I mean, what is this whole obsession with the young? They're the only ones that can be heroes. Let me tell you something. My grandmother was a hero. Do you happen to know what a hero myth is? It's a partnership between a hero who has an extraordinary gift and a divine being. How many times have you seen a hero be someone middle-aged? I mean a housewife or a waitress or a sales clerk. What about a truck driver? You know, you just don't see that. Because a hero's ordinary, but they possess something extraordinary. I have this idea that everybody has something special, something extraordinary, a gift that no one else has. It's about their personality and their life experiences and the perspective that they have. You know what life's taught them? It's the influence of genetics as well, I suppose. You get all that stuff together and you've got a hero's gift. It's totally unique and it'll never be repeated. We live ordinary lives, that's true, but each person is extraordinary. You know, we choose to love, we choose to give. Destiny just isn't calling out only to the young. It's possible we could heal this world if we just work together. You want to see something? Look, that isn't fog, it's smog. The smog is actually so thick in Beijing that they can't see the sunrise. They televised the sunrise. Can you just wrap your head around that for a minute? So much smog you can't even see that bright sunrise. They had to put it up on a giant LED screen in Tiananmen Square. Can you imagine? Those poor unfortunate people breathing that filthy air, even if people are willing to ignore the scientists and listen to politicians instead. I mean, what is it that makes fresh air and clean water political anyway? Doesn't that just scream we're in trouble? We can ignore the environment, that's for sure. We can ignore the destruction of the forests in Canada. Those boreal forests are never going to be replaced, you know. The waterways, the aquifers, the proliferation of GMOs, all that stuff going into our bodies. Sometimes I wonder if we're actually committing suicide. You know, this planet is a place that we all call home. Birds and whales and elk. We aren't the only ones here. What's wrong with caring about people you've never met anyway? When people wanted to get to the moon, we got there, didn't we? There were people with special understanding, special gifts, and they put them all together and they created a spaceship so that people could travel up into space. Now we have a permanent space station that orbits the Earth. It's the International Space Station, as a matter of fact. People from all different countries go up there and work together. Do you see? We can solve the most daunting problems we've got here on this planet. There's no need for despair. I don't know why we're fighting each other. Just be yourself. Release your gifts. Why don't we try the one thing we haven't dared try? Incoming transmission. Source code being acquired. Compatibility mode activated.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Please?
Terminating information stream.